Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing a deep dive into something that might surprise you, Islamic business ethics.
Interesting.
Yeah, we're going to be looking at this idea of balancing, our worldly pursuits, which is the dunya,
Right.
with our religious obligations, which is the deen.
Yeah.
And we'll be using excerpts from Imam Huzaifa's YouTube video, Business Ethics in Islam. Balancing Deen and Dunya, kind of explore this whole concept.
That's good.
What I found really fascinating was this idea that, engaging in business and actually earning wealth isn't necessarily like at odds with Islamic teachings, but can actually be a path to actually fulfilling those religious duties.
That's a really interesting perspective. It's easy to fall into those assumptions, isn't it?
Yeah, totally.
But I mean, when you really start to look deeper into the teachings, there's a much more nuanced perspective on wealth and all those worldly pursuits.
So Imam Huzaifa starts off with this really incredible story about Abdullah ibn Mubarak.
Okay.
And he was a scholar known for really encouraging this idea of zoot.
Oh, how zoot.
Which is that concept of detaching from, worldly possessions.
Right, simplicity.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So Ibn Mubarak was deeply respected for his piety and simple living.
Yeah, absolutely.
But here's the interesting part. So his students, they actually found him actively engaging in the marketplace.
Right.
Buying and selling goods.
Oh.
And they were just completely baffled by this.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
How could someone who preached detachment be so involved in these worldly affairs?
It seems contradictory, doesn't it?
It totally does.
So how did he explain that?
So his response is really interesting, and I think gets to the heart of what true Zuhd really is all about.
Okay.
He basically said that, working and earning allowed him to maintain that self-sufficiency. He could provide for his family.
Of course.
And most importantly, focus on his religious obligations without being burdened by those financial worries.
So it's not about rejecting the world entirely.
Yeah.
But it's about making sure that those worldly pursuits don't become obstacles to your spiritual growth.
Exactly. Yeah.
And this isn't just, found in the story of Ibn Mubarak. This idea is deeply rooted in the Prophet Muhammad's teachings.
Oh, wow. So the Prophet Muhammad also spoke about this balance.
He did. He actually described his companions, many of whom were, rulers and leaders, as having the dunya in their hands, but not in their hearts.
Wow. That's powerful.
So they were engaged in, building societies, governing empires, but their hearts remained firmly anchored in their faith.
I mean, did the Prophet Muhammad warn against, being too consumed by those worldly pursuits as well?
Yeah, he did caution that those who make dunya their sole focus, constantly chasing wealth and possessions, will find their lives, scattered and difficult. That they're always chasing this mirage. Never really finding contentment or fulfillment.
And he contrasted that with those who actually prioritize the hereafter.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
He taught that those who make the afterlife their primary goal, while still engaging in the world responsibly, will find that Allah brings their affairs together.
Okay.
And their lives made easier.
Wow.
He actually described it as, the world will practically fall at their feet.
Wow.
Like a child clinging to a parent.
That's beautiful imagery.
It is.
Okay, so it seems like the key takeaway here is that it's not about ignoring the world.
Right.
But approaching it with the right intentions and maintaining that balance.
That balance is key.
But how can we be sure that, engaging in business or seeking wealth is, truly permissible in Islam?
Right.
I mean, weren't some of the most devout early Muslims known for their simple living?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Detachment from material possessions?
It's true that some early Muslims did choose that path of asceticism.
Yeah.
But even the prophets themselves engaged in worldly professions.
Right.
Prophet Zechariah was a carpenter.
Oh, wow.
Prophet David was a blacksmith.
Okay.
And the Prophet Muhammad himself worked as a shepherd before his prophethood.
So engaging in work is not only permissible, but it has a prophetic precedent.
Exactly. And it really ties into that idea of self-sufficiency.
Right.
That we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
It's about taking responsibility for your well-being.
Yeah.
Providing for your family through honest means.
And there's that story about the companion Saad that illustrates this point, right?
Yes. Saad was on his deathbed.
Okay.
And being, a wealthy man with 2 daughters.
Yeah.
He asked the Prophet Muhammad if he should donate all of his wealth as charity.
Oh, wow.
And the Prophet Muhammad actually advised him to leave 1/3 of his wealth for his daughters.
Okay.
To ensure their financial well-being after he passed.
It's not just about, like, personal piety then. It's about your family as well.
It highlights that importance of financial responsibility.
Right.
And even the idea of generational wealth within an Islamic framework.
It really challenges, like, some of the stereotypes
It does.
about Islam and wealth.
Yeah.
You know, it paints this picture of a faith that encourages its followers to be active, participating in society,
Right.
contributing their skills and knowledge,
Absolutely.
while maintaining their spiritual grounding.
Exactly. And this idea of active participation is supported by the Quran itself.
Oh, that's right. The Quran actually encourages earning wealth.
Yes, it does.
But there are stipulations, I'm assuming.
It's very specific about the means by which you earn that wealth.
Right.
There are verses that explicitly encourage earning through honest and ethical means.
So it's not just about making the money.
Right.
It's about how you do it.
Exactly.
Okay.
You got it. For instance, there's a verse that warns against consuming wealth in falsehood, emphasizing the importance of ethical business practices.
Okay.
You know, making sure that every transaction is transparent and fair.
Right.
Free from any kind of deception or exploitation.
Are there other Quranic verses that speak about, like, integrating worship and worldly pursuits?
There's a beautiful verse in Surah Al-Jumu'ah.
Okay.
Where Allah instructs believers to seek his bounty after prayer. It's this subtle but profound reminder that our worldly endeavors should be fueled by our connection with Allah.
It's like a cycle almost.
It is. It's like a beautiful cycle.
Prayer nourishes our work.
Right.
Our work, when done ethically, allows us to contribute back.
Exactly. It's all interconnected.
Even during Hajj, which is one of the most sacred times business is actually permitted, which highlights, I think, the practicality of Islam and how it really integrates faith and daily life.
And it dispels that misconception that Islam is like overly restrictive or out of touch with, the realities of life.
It's a faith that actually gives you guidance for every aspect of your existence, including how you earn a livelihood.
Right, absolutely.
And there's that story about Omar ibn al-Khattab.
Oh, yeah.
That I think further emphasizes this.
Yes. So Omar encountered this man praying in a really, strange posture.
Okay.
And he questioned him. He was like, we've never seen the Prophet Muhammad pray like that.
Was it just about, the form of prayer?
It was actually much deeper than that.
Okay.
Omar was emphasizing the balance between work and prayer.
Got it.
He basically said the Prophet Muhammad worked and prayed.
Yeah.
The companions worked and prayed.
Okay.
They did both things.
So it's not one over the other.
It's not about choosing one over the other.
Nope.
It's about understanding that they're both essential aspects of a fulfilling life.
So being a devout Muslim doesn't mean you neglect your worldly responsibilities.
Exactly. So it's about that harmony.
Finding that sweet spot.
Yeah, that sweet spot where both aspects complement each other.
All right, so we've established that Islam encourages this balance between deen and dunya, and that earning wealth ethically isn't just permissible, but can actually be a means of fulfilling those obligations.
Absolutely.
But where do we find, more specific guidance?
Right.
How do we actually navigate this world of business ethically?
Good question.
Does Imam Huzaifa offer, practical advice in his video?
He does. He outlines 7 key points for Muslims in business.
7 points. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm ready to take some notes.
All right, let's dive in.
Let's go.
Okay, so the first point, I think, really sets the foundation for everything else. That's the concept of independence.
Okay.
Imam Huzaifa stresses that Muslims should really aim to be self-sufficient.
Yeah.
And, not rely on others financially.
Right, so that theme of self-sufficiency that we've been talking about already.
Right, exactly.
Why is that so important?
He actually shares this really powerful hadith where the Prophet Muhammad said it's better to go chop wood and earn your own living than to beg from others.
So that puts into perspective the value that Islam places on really relying on yourself.
Exactly.
Maintaining that dignity.
Making responsibility for your own well-being.
And this principle of independence applies to individuals.
Right.
But it also extends to the Muslim community as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely.
How so?
Imam Huzaifa gives this really compelling example from his own life.
Okay.
He was talking about, visiting a halal Mexican restaurant in Chicago.
Oh, cool.
And the owner actually mentioned that Muslims in Chicago have been making a very conscious effort to support Muslim businesses.
So creating like an ecosystem almost within the community.
It's about creating this self-sustaining ecosystem within the community.
Right, so that we can uplift and empower each other.
Precisely. By supporting each other's businesses.
Yeah.
Muslims can actually build a network of economic empowerment.
Wow.
Which in turn strengthens the entire community.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a beautiful example of collective upliftment.
It really speaks to that idea that success isn't just about individual achievement, but about contributing back to the community as a whole.
Absolutely. And that's, a core value in Islam.
Right.
This idea of social responsibility.
Taking care of each other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Our individual actions, they have ripple effects.
Right.
And we have this duty to contribute positively to the world around us.
Yeah. Okay, so independence is the first point.
Yeah.
What's number 2?
So the second point is all about striving for excellence in whatever profession you choose.
Okay.
It's about bringing your best to the table, regardless of what you do.
Okay. Is there a story that really exemplifies that?
Imam Huzaifa actually mentioned Imam Yusuf.
Okay.
Who was this renowned scholar of Islamic law.
Right.
Who was, unjustly imprisoned.
Oh, wow.
But even while he was incarcerated,
yeah,
people would still come to him seeking his advice and opinions.
Wow.
Because they recognized his knowledge and excellence in his field.
So even through hardship, you can still have that level of excellence.
Absolutely. It's about constantly seeking to improve your skills and your knowledge.
Right.
Pushing yourself to be the best version of yourself in that chosen field.
And seeing that as a form of worship.
And that dedication to excellence can actually be a form of worship.
Right. Connecting it back.
When you see it as a way to serve Allah and benefit humanity.
I think a lot of people can relate to that.
Yeah.
Finding meaning and purpose in your work.
Absolutely.
All right, what's the next principle?
Honesty and transparency.
Ooh, that's a good word.
This one is absolutely crucial in business, really in all aspects of life.
For sure.
Imam Huzaifa emphasized the importance of being clear and truthful in all your dealings.
And, honesty is fundamental in Islam anyway.
Yeah.
But did he make any connections between honesty and, business practices?
He actually brought up the longest verse in the Quran,
okay,
which is all about writing contracts.
Oh, wow. That's so fascinating to me.
Isn't it?
That the Quran has guidance on even the most, practical matters.
Yeah.
It really shows that Islam is a holistic way of life.
Absolutely.
It's not just about the ritual.
Right.
It's about how we live.
It guides every aspect of our existence.
Every single thing.
Including business.
And having those contracts really helps prevent misunderstandings.
Absolutely.
Because everyone's on the same page.
Yeah.
It protects the rights of everyone involved.
It does. It emphasizes transparency and accountability.
Okay, so we got independence, excellence, honesty,
yes,
transparency. What's next?
So the fourth point actually focuses on avoiding excessive claims.
Yeah.
Falsely advertising your products and services.
Got it.
It's about being straightforward and truthful in your marketing.
Right, so integrity in how you're portraying your business.
Exactly. He even referenced a hadith where the Prophet Muhammad said that swearing by Allah in business transactions actually diminishes the blessings in that transaction.
Oh, wow.
So it shows how important it is to let the quality of your products and services speak for themselves.
So no need to overhype.
Exactly.
Just put out a good product.
Right. Let your actions and the quality of your work earn people's trust.
So number 5.
So the fifth point builds upon that.
Okay.
It focuses on fairness in all your dealings.
Fairness.
It's about ensuring that you're not shortchanging anyone.
Okay.
Or giving them less than what they deserve.
So do you have an example for this one as well?
Yeah, he actually shared this story
about
the Prophet Muhammad traveling with Jabir ibn Abdullah.
Okay.
The Prophet expressed interest in buying Jabir's camel.
Okay.
And Jabir said he would sell it for 1 dirham.
Okay.
Which was a very reasonable price.
Yeah.
But he wanted to ride the camel back to Medina.
Even in front of the Prophet?
Even in front of the Prophet.
He set his boundaries.
He had his terms.
Yeah.
And this highlights, how important it is to be upfront and transparent about your expectations and requirements.
So no funny business.
No funny business, no hidden agendas.
Everyone's on the same page.
Exactly.
Okay, what's next?
So then that leads us to the next point, which is avoiding deception.
Right.
Or lying in any form.
That's a given, I would assume, in Islam.
You would assume.
Yeah.
But he actually quotes this very powerful hadith.
Okay.
Where the Prophet Muhammad said, whoever cheats is not from us.
It doesn't get much clearer than that.
It doesn't, right. And he went on to clarify that this applies to cheating anyone.
Right.
Regardless of their faith.
It's universal.
It's a universal principle.
Right.
Ethical conduct is not selective.
It's for everybody.
Yeah, for everybody.
And there's that hadith about the truthful merchant being with the prophets.
He says, the truthful, honest merchant is with the prophets, the truthful, and the martyrs.
Wow, so that's a pretty high honor.
It is.
So it's about the intention as well.
Right. It's not just about worldly success.
It's about pleasing Allah.
It's about earning Allah's pleasure and attaining a place in paradise.
Okay, so we've got independence, excellence, honesty, and transparency. Avoiding those excessive claims, fairness, no deception.
Right.
I'm ready for number 7.
Okay, number 7.
Its final point.
The final point is all about generosity and leniency.
Okay.
Especially when it comes to financial dealings.
Interesting.
So it's about, going beyond fulfilling the bare minimum requirements.
Okay.
And extending kindness and compassion in our financial interactions.
Generosity and leniency, especially with finances, I feel like that's a really important principle.
It is.
Especially nowadays.
Especially in today's world.
Yeah.
So he actually shares this hadith where the Prophet Muhammad describes a true Muslim as being, amicable, friendly, easygoing.
So it's like approaching life with that gentle touch.
Right.
But how does that apply to, finances?
Well, it's about not putting undue pressure on others.
Okay.
Especially when it comes to money matters. And he even kind of addresses those Muslim employers who might be strict or inflexible with their Muslim employees.
Okay.
Particularly when it comes to, religious obligations like attending Friday prayers.
So it's looking at our ethical responsibilities in like a work environment as well.
Exactly. It's about creating work environments that are supportive.
Yeah.
And accommodate the religious needs of the employees.
It's about more than just like the rules.
It's about embodying the spirit of compassion and understanding.
That Islam teaches.
That Islam teaches, exactly.
And that generosity isn't just limited to employers?
No, not at all.
Right.
It applies to anyone who has lent money.
Okay.
Or done someone a favor.
So being understanding if someone can't pay you back right away.
Exactly. Being understanding with those repayment terms.
Yeah.
Not burdening people with that pressure.
Recognizing that everyone's going through something.
Right. Recognizing that sometimes circumstances change unexpectedly.
Yeah, for sure.
And people may face financial difficulties.
And that's when that compassion comes in.
That's when it really matters.
Absolutely.
And there's actually this beautiful verse in the Quran that really captures this sentiment.
Okay.
Allah says, and if someone is in hardship, then grant him respite until a time of ease.
So there's that flexibility.
Yeah, that flexibility and kindness that's really prioritized.
It's not about being rigid.
No, it's about finding solutions that are fair and compassionate.
I think that's such an important reminder.
It is.
Especially now.
Especially in today's world.
With everything that's going on.
Where so many people are struggling.
Yeah, to be more understanding.
To be more supportive.
Of each other.
Of those around us.
Yeah.
Whether they're employees or family members or neighbors.
And it doesn't have to be these huge gestures.
Right.
It can just be like little things.
It can be small acts of kindness.
Like just listening to someone.
Exactly. Sometimes just a listening ear.
Yeah.
Or a kind word can be the biggest act of generosity.
And the rewards for that.
The rewards are immense.
They're huge. I mean, Imam Huzaifa reminded us that the Prophet Muhammad said
he did
that the honest business person will be raised with the prophets.
With the prophets.
The truthful and the martyrs.
On the day of judgment.
So, I mean, that just goes to show you.
That shows you.
That your conduct in this life,
right,
in your business dealings,
and how you interact with others can lead to,
the highest honor,
incredible reward in the next life.
Absolutely.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, let's, carry these principles with us.
Let's strive for that balance.
Let's conduct business with honesty and integrity.
Yes, and extend generosity and kindness.
In all our interactions.
In all that we do.
And remember, this is just the beginning.
This is just the start.
Of the journey.
Of our journey.
May Allah grant us the strength and guidance.
To actually implement these teachings.
And earn His pleasure.
Thank you for joining us on this Deep Dive.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope you found it insightful and are inspired to, live a life full of balance, ethics.
Generosity.
And generosity.